Hey, viewers and viewers, my name is General Red Strategist, and welcome back to So You're Being Hunted. This is episode 396. So, back here to do another podcast-style episode in this world that we started off previously in the last podcast-style episode 395 and all that. So we're just going to, continue on here as we do, and have another nice little conversation as always. So I hope you guys out there are all doing fine. Of course, in the meantime, it's going to be a series of fairly laid-back episodes once, we get up to episode 400 and all that. So, basically what I'd like to actually just do first and foremost, whilst I'm here, is just to make a routine announcement. So, I just mentioned episode 400 there, and I've mentioned before how I want to kind of do something special for it, since it's, another big milestone in the So You're Being Hunted series. And so what I'm thinking about doing is, me and Phil could perhaps get together to do a Q&A, and that's probably going to be, well, it's going to look like, it looks like, God, I can't even speak, it looks like that's basically going to be the thing that we ultimately choose to do, which, you know what, I think would be a good thing, actually, for us to do for episode 400. So, just consider this a quick announcement here at the start of the video, that, in essence, feel free to start leaving some questions for a Q&A video and all that. As always, questions can be on whatever the hell you want them to be on. So whether it's on games, it can be on that, or it can be other questions, in fact. And, anything to do with any sort of entertainment medium or life, current affairs, anything like that you want to ask about it, let us know. And, whilst there may be the odd topic that we may or may not sort of be comfortable with answering questions about, as a general rule, we are quite open to all sorts of questions. So I'm not going to necessarily preclude anything. I'm going to say, if you want to leave us a topic, then feel free to leave a question. And if it's something which we are happy to have a go at answering, then we will have a go at answering it and all that. That's a lot of robots by that friggin' device piece over there. One thing I will ask, though, is if you do leave some potential questions for another Q&A, maybe do, in your comment, actually mark them out as being Q&A material, so that way I know to answer it in episode 400 and not to answer it there and then in a reply or anything like that, because otherwise, sometimes some people obviously, they send questions, but they're expecting an immediate response rather than me to necessarily, well, not necessarily an immediate response, but for me to just reply in my own time rather than to save it for a Q&A video. So it helps, like I say, if people just do that, just so it's clear what it is you're kind of wanting in terms of an answer or whatever. But yeah, with that aside, that's just that. How me and Phil, of course, we like to do Q&As every so often. Apologies, I still can't speak, it seems, at least not very well. But we like doing Q&As every so often. It's been a bit of a while since our last one, in essence. So we're overdue another big mammoth Q&A video here on the General Red Strategist channel, because our last one must have been coming up to somewhere near 2 hours. Or somewhere between 1 and 2 hours it was, but yes, so feel free to leave those questions and all that. But that's not the main topic of conversation, actually, that I was going to talk about in this episode. I was going to refer to something else as well. There's a fucking balloon coming towards me. If the alarm clock would go off now, that would be very good. Shit, no you don't. Oh, buggle. Are you seriously kidding me? They fucking heard me? Come on now, I did have a— oh shit! No! Okay, right, hold on whilst I just do this. Ow. Let's get rid of that dog. Alright, fine, I'll pull you out in this direction. Anyway, I was talking about something or other, or rather I had a topic of conversation to talk about in this episode. Jesus. Alright, just use my bandages then. You guys maybe piss off, I'm gonna loop around and get their device piece whilst they're all distracted. Shit. Over here. That's it. And back around, because they can't see shit. There we go. That's how you do it. Yeah, but what I was hoping to sort of talk about in this episode, because I was actually reading some news just earlier today, before I started the recording, and there was a there was a story which, not gonna lie, I've read plenty of stories like this before, and it's one of those things which always makes a person sigh and shake their head and think, how dumb can people be? But everyone's, of course, is all familiar with internet challenges and all that. I mean, if you're not, then have you been living under a rock all this time or something? But so, internet challenges, of course, are a pretty crazy thing sometimes, in the sense that you get so many of them. Feels like every month there's probably new ones that have come up, and people sort of film themselves and create short little videos of them doing these challenges, and then they upload them on places like Vine or TikTok or whatever. Actually, I haven't said that. Is Vine still a thing? I remember Vine being really popular a while back, but now that I think about it, I haven't heard anything about Vine in what feels like months. So maybe Vine is not that. Maybe Vine is not that hip and down with the kids anymore, to put it that way. But yeah, I'm digressing. So of course, people upload clips of themselves doing these challenges to sites like YouTube, TikTok, etc., etc. And of course, some of these challenges they're pretty harmless. I remember, of course, things like the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge from back in the day, which actually wasn't that long ago. That makes it sound like it was frigging decades ago, but it wasn't. But the ALS one, that was a fairly harmless one. That was for a good cause. And I remember, I had people in my family who actually did that one as part of, at their workplaces, for example, raising money for ALS and whatever else have you. And but of course, the thing about these challenges is, every so often, you always get ones which they're not necessarily for a cause or anything like that. They're just weird viral challenges that people do, and some of them are so fucking dangerous. And you think to yourself, why on earth would you put yourself through that? That sounds so ridiculous. I mean, even some of actually the ones that sound harmless at first can still be dangerous. Like, there was the one with planking that was, a few years back. You all remember that one, ladies and gentlemen? The whole idea of, you would sort of lie down utterly still like a wooden plank with your arms at your sides face down somewhere, and you would get someone to photograph you and you would post that online. And of course, that sounds really harmless and just silly, but there were people who took it, of course, to its absolute extreme. And there were people, for example, who were doing it in really, how should I say, dangerous locations. Like people doing it on moving vehicles, in precarious locations, on top of buildings, things like that. And yeah, it got a bit crazy. And there was one person, well, I don't know if it was just one person or if it was more than one person, but I'm pretty sure there was one of a man who died while doing it. I can't remember what he was doing or where he was planking at the time. But he was probably fucking planking in like a precarious rooftop or something. He probably fell and died. But it's amazing, isn't it, sometimes what people will do for the views. And this news story that I was reading earlier today basically mentioned this really utterly dangerous sounding one which had resulted in someone getting injured. Namely, what had happened was, I think it was like a 13-year-old girl had been trying to film herself doing a challenge for TikTok, where basically you get a flammable liquid, you sort of daub it in patterns and shapes on a mirror, and then you set fire to the liquid. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, and it is ridiculous, and it's also ridiculously dangerous, but apparently something went wrong, and this 13-year-old girl, if I am remembering the story correctly, basically ended up in hospital with third-degree burns. Now, I know, a lot of people say that sometimes when you're young, you do silly things and all that, but this just takes the fucking biscuit, let's be honest, right? And I think to myself, why do people do these things? And so, whilst I was on that kind of subject of crazy and sometimes just outright fucking dangerous internet challenges that people take on, I decided to go on Google and just have a look very quickly at some of the dumbest and stupidest challenges that have been a thing on the internet that people have done. And my God, I'm amazed at some of the lengths people will go to to actually get themselves some instant fame, some instant clicks and all that. So there was one which was literally a fire challenge where people are dousing themselves in liquids that are flammable and then setting it on fire. And it's like, are you mental? Do you have an actual death wish? And then there was another one which was basically the same as that, except it was the hot water challenge, with people literally dousing scalding hot water on themselves. It's like the ice bucket challenge, except really fucking hazardous to your health, in essence. And I just looked at these and I thought, people are stupid. I mean, I knew this. I've known this for a long, long time, that people are stupid, right? This is common knowledge. Everybody has encountered people who are just, whose thought process just defies any sort of logic or rationality. And you sort of look at the things they do and you think, why do you do the things you do? But even so, just when I think there's nothing else in the world that can really surprise or shock me, there's always something that you've never encountered. Something that when you read it, you just think, oh my god, this is ridiculous. This is even more ridiculous than anything I've ever seen so far in my life. But, good lord, it got me thinking as well, like, what kind of thought process is it that goes through people's minds that really just leads to them doing this shit? I mean, why? Like, what is even the point? Are these people like so starved of kind of like validation that they will do anything just for that rush of sort of self-satisfaction that comes with seeing your video get lots of likes, things like that? Is that what this is? Or am I reading too much into it? Or am I just trying to, give some kind of explanation for something which is fundamentally stupid and which does not make sense? Who knows? But, yeah, a little PSA then for everyone watching this. Do not get involved in stupid viral internet challenges, especially if there is the potential for them to be dangerous. You heard it here from General Red Strategist. If you can't trust General Red Strategist's word, who can you trust, in essence? But, yeah, if it involves anything that might just be a little bit hazardous to your health, maybe, don't do it. Good lord. And that's the thing, like, even challenges, like the one I was saying earlier about planking, even the ones which are not actually directly hazardous to your health, in the sense that if you do it in a safe location, it'll be absolutely fine, there's always somebody who manages to turn it into something dangerous. But my god. That just reminds me as well, I'm talking a lot here about internet challenges, but I've watched videos here on YouTube before, things like try not to get anxious compilations, and some of the shit people do in those videos is so dangerous, and I think, what are you fucking doing? Like people climbing up really high buildings without any sort of safety equipment, or anything like that. Or like ones where you get friggin' kids who go up onto really high buildings where they're like masses and masses of stories high in the air, where if they fell, that'd be it. That would be the end. There'd be no coming back from it. You'd be dead. And then it's like, so they go up onto the roof of a high building, and then they like somersault across the gap to another building. And I just think, is it worth it? Is it really so fucking worth it? For the clicks, the 15-second moments of fame that you will literally risk your fucking life for that? Good lord. God, and if it's not that, it's like people, for example, like jumping onto the tops of moving vehicles. There was one I saw recently, and it was a couple of guys, younger lads, who were in a car, and they were on like a freeway somewhere in the United States, and there was this big truck in front of them with lots of like packing crates full of oranges. And literally, it was just one of them basically has the camera, is filming. Another one of them then climbs up through the sunroof of the car onto the bonnet of this car that they're in. Bear in mind, they're on a freeway here, so they're probably driving at something, I don't know, like 70 miles an hour, something like that, probably more. So if he fucking falls off there, he is probably not going to be coming back from that alive. But basically, they then floor the accelerator, so then they're practically tailgating this truck. And bear in mind, this is a fucking big-ass articulated truck we're talking about here. The driver of that truck is not going to be able to see them if they're literally right up behind him, because obviously the back of a truck is its blind spot. And with any truck, if you're driving, you're supposed to keep a certain distance back, so that way the driver can see you in their wing mirrors. Because of course, if you're literally tailgating a truck, there's no way for the driver to be able to see you. So if the driver suddenly has to brake sharply, and if you're tailgating him, you're just going to go smack straight into the back of that truck. But here's what like I said, this video I was watching of these two guys, not two guys, there were more than two, in fact, in their car, tailgating this fucking truck with all these orange containers on it. One of them, the one who's climbed up through the sunroof and onto the bonnet of the car, basically then grabs onto the back of the truck, climbs onto it, nicks a few oranges, and then they basically get him back into the car. And I think to myself, you are fucking insane. You are actually ridiculous. I don't even have words for it. It's so irresponsible, I'm telling you now. Good lord. But yeah, I just think to myself, why? Why do people do this shit? It's so... I think... Is it like an adrenaline rush thing? Or an adrenaline junkie kind of thing? Because I hear that, for example, like stunt people and daredevils, people who do dangerous stuff professionally for a career, the reason they do that stuff is because, like, in everyday life they feel kind of like things are not right, and the only way they can feel like things are normal is by doing stuff that normally for most people would fill them with just adrenaline and anxiety. I don't know, I'm not really explaining it very well because I don't really know too much of the psychology behind it or whatever. Okay, right, but I'm going to wrap this episode up here because I think we've been recording for a decent amount of time there, and that's a nice little topic to talk about right there and then, ladies and gentlemen. So, Facebook and Twitter links down below, along with the link to my propagandist channel for anyone interested, and if you enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe and all that jazz. And as stated earlier in the video, Q&A, ladies and gentlemen. Feel free to start leaving us some questions. I'll probably... keep sort of reiterating this Q&A over the coming videos at the moment, up until obviously we get to episode 400, so that way people who want to leave them can leave them, and then we can get cracking on with that. So, goodbye everybody. Fucking ruins of this area. Alright, we're taking that one out, that's the good news. I pick those up, if we can. Look at this though, toolbox is up there, uh-oh. There's another one somewhere around, apparently. Whoa! Where are you? You up there somewhere? Oh, you're over there. That's where you are. Alright. In that case, we want to go this way. We want to go up the escalator, I think. Uh-oh. God, there's so fucking many of them. This is bad. This is hella bad. Take another one.